Alright, we are now 5 episodes into D4DJ All Mix, and time to once again give my thoughts on it. And let me just say that I was excited for this one since it was a mermaid episode, and oh my god, Rika is riding on a motorcycle. Yes! It's like I'm watching Bakuan again. In case you've never heard of Bakuan, I will sum it up very quickly. Think of K-On!, but girls on motorcycles. Anyway, let's get started.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
So, as Rika is riding her motorcycle in the middle of a rainstorm, she tries to think about fun things like Rondo's recent performance and Mermaid's collab with them as well. This makes her wonder about who to collab with next, and as the skies opened up on a rainy day, it gave her that idea. Over the Seas. So, the mermaid girls all meet up in a place called Dee's Kitchen.
These nuts? Oh, bruh!
And that's where Rika gives the idea of what they could do in terms of their performance in the month of May, collabing with somebody overseas. So basically, Rika explains that she went on a solo trip to the United States and she ended up liking this music from this one producer that she actually would end up meeting in person. How exactly? She's Rika. I mean, that's all I can say about it. She can get along with just about anyone. And once again, she gives me life. So yeah, they met, partied at a club, and got a collab. Just like that. That easy. I wish I wasn't socially awkward, man. If I was like her, I would be the life of the party. So then we get Rika's best English, which I couldn't help but crack up at. And speaking of English, I'll get to this later on, but this is something that I loved about this episode and how they did it. So we'll get to that in a moment.
I love you. Let's collaboration.
God damn!
Yeah, so the person Rika met with is named Laura Bradley, who is a popular music producer in America, which completely shocks Sayori, who recognizes her work. She was pretty popular to where even Dahlia said that you couldn't compare Mermaid to her. Rika revealed that she showed Laura one of their shows, and what do you know, she actually knows about Mermaid and enjoyed their music, and Laura wants to make a song with Mermaid. Then it pans to Sayori, and, well...
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I get it, I'd probably feel the same way if I was her. And can I just say for the record that I loved the chibi mermaid girls throughout the beginning, or pretty much throughout the episode in general. I just absolutely love that. So now Sayori is trying to figure out how to communicate in English as she sends an email off to Laura. Sayori was definitely feeling the pressure as Marika pointed out during a flashback of the earlier conversation. Then an absolute adorable face was made by Rika. Oh my god. And Sayori basically said, hey, we can't turn this down. This is Laura Bradley we're talking about. Dahlia reminds Rika that she needs to give Sayori the proper support since she didn't really consult anyone. So, how does Rika give the support to Sayori that she needs? Why, none other than the My First English conversation with a fucking e-pencil. How fucking cool is that? An e-pencil? Sign me the fuck up. Alright, I'm getting carried away here. Anyway, so we have Sayori figuring out English with basic words like apple, banana, all sorts of things like that. And trust me, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and I had a trip to Spain as well. I still only know a few things in Spanish, so yeah, that thing wasn't doing Sayori any good. The good news is that Laura Bradley ends up replying back to Sayori, and would love to talk to her about the collab. She gets a little hyped, but also nervous, and believes that she can not only do as good as her, but she has to do as good as her. So the next day, Sayori skips the meeting with the others and goes to the library to learn some English for her meeting with Laura. Dahlia reminds us that when Sayori does something, she goes all out. But sometimes going all out can be a problem too. Then the time comes, the meeting. So when it hits 21 o'clock, or in America it would be 9 p.m., Laura appears, and what I loved here, this is what I was talking about earlier, this is what I loved in this episode. She didn't start speaking like Japanese. It wasn't like, you know, oh, this character's from America, even though in the Japanese dub she's speaking Japanese. No. She actually spoke legit English in the Japanese dub, which of course Sayori has to figure out what to say in English in order to communicate with her. But yeah, overall, I just thought this was really cool and different, since sometimes, you know, it's just basic, they're talking English even though they're supposed to be talking Japanese or vice versa. But here, no, they actually are able to combine, the idea that there's someone who's actually speaking English to somebody who speaks Japanese.
So let's share some sketches we think are cool.
今
So Sayori is pretty much scrambling like you're a quarterback playing for the Houston Texans and trying not to get sacked. She tries to quickly understand certain emojis and expressions from people who speak English. I actually did relate to this a bit because, like I mentioned earlier, I had a couple occasions where I froze up on my Spanish when I had my trip to Spain. This was back in like 2013, but luckily I had it all figured out. Trust me though, it sent me scrambling too because I'm like, oh crap, what do I say? Anyway, Laura explains that she wants to get to know more about Sayori and figure out what kind of music they like to roll with. So Sayori sends a sketch, like a little sample of music. She sends a file off to Sayori, and this blew her away like, holy shit, this is absolute fire. Sayori tenses up, trying to figure out how to respond to Laura, and Laura basically tells her to relax, like, hey, it's all good, no need to worry, take your time, and gives a thumbs up. And seriously, good on Laura for staying patient with Sayori. It's kind of cool to see a boundary like this in the anime and see how they can both communicate. I really liked this and see if they can come together and create some sort of universal discussion to where they're able to communicate with one another. So the next day, Rika, Dahlia, and Marika find Sayori in the library, who's trying to write down some basic English conversations to remember. Rika tries to step in and offer help, but Sayori said, I'll be fine, I can do it myself, it's all good. So she begins to work on the music. She leaves some notes on her wall to help her talk to Laura. Then in the next meeting, she tells Laura in her best English possible that she put a melody in Laura's sketch. But after Laura listened to it, she told Sayori that she wanted to listen to a sketch that Sayori thinks is cool. She started to get a little hard on herself, and she believed that she wasn't good enough for her and her skill level and everything else and her popularity. And after another meeting, Sayori realizes what Laura meant, that she wanted to hear a sketch from Sayori. Like, what kind of sketch do you have in terms of music? And basically she keeps working and working and working and working to where it really tires her out. Similar to Maho at one point. I'm trying to remember which episode it was in First Mix. I may just show the clip here. Laura reminds Sayori to relax, and she reveals that she likes old Japanese music. And again, good on Laura for being sweet and staying patient here. She's showing that she's really good to work with, because unfortunately, no matter what industry you're in, some people aren't like that, unfortunately, and that's just how it is. So back at the library, Sayori is exhausted and just buried in books. Rika gets her attention and...
Oh my goodness!
God, poor Sayori, man. So yeah, the others are really worried for her. Sayori said that the meetings weren't going well since she's struggling to speak English. She's at the point where after so many meetings, she didn't want to cause any more trouble for Laura. They try to help her and cheer her up in any way they can, and oh look, my first English conversation to Electric Boogaloo. Dahlia tells Sayori that she can have a productive meeting without English, which this reminded me on a story about my favorite Major League Soccer team, FC Cincinnati, and how all the coaches and players, even though they were all speaking different languages and from different countries, they were able to communicate through some kind of universal language. Because once again, especially in soccer or out to the folks overseas, football, there are many players from all over the world. It's a big international sport. There's so many players speaking so many different languages, and it was fascinating to me how the coaches and players were able to come together and figure out, hey, this is how we can communicate to one another to make sure we can succeed as a team. But anyway, Dahlia reminds Sayori to relax, but Sayori snaps here and she says, I can't relax, I can't. She gets super hard on herself, which again, I can relate to her, and storms off to her home. She feels awful for snapping, of course, and I would too in this situation. But after a long sleep, she's able to clear her mind. She realizes, like, holy crap, look at all these notes on my wall, I'm going to take them off now. And she meets up with the others for lunch. Sayori ends up apologizing to everyone else, and the others do to her for what happened the day before. Then she asks for some help, which we are then taken to a record store. I approve, absolute W, like I mentioned with episode 2 with Maho. And Sayori explains how Laura loves old Japanese music, but Sayori herself couldn't come up with anything in mind when it came to what Sayori liked. Well, I know what I like though. Sorry, I can't help it. I love Linkin Park. By the way, can you believe that there's a new song out? It was unreleased from like 20 years ago with Meteora, but oh my god, it's amazing. So Sayori said she really hasn't listened to much music lately, but Rika ends up taking the group out to a club. Basically, they go out there, they jam out, have a fun, they're grooving, they're trying to find some inspiration. So Rika takes Sayori, and they begin to dance, telling Sayori, you know, to tell Laura how much she loves music. So Sayori begins to dance in the cutest way possible, and Rika hopes that this moment can make her feel a little better. By the way, don't apologize while dancing. Now that's a good quote to live by. I really like that quote. So Sayori is able to make a sample, Laura loved it, and it was different from any other song that she's heard from Mermaid. She even helped Sayori with it to give off more of a mermaid kind of vibe. Oh, good God, Sayori's smile needs to be protected at all costs. She is just too damn precious. Before the mermaid performance, we see Happy around waiting outside of Alter Ego, as Maho ends up fangirling over how Laura Bradley worked with Sayori on this song. And do I need to say more? I've said it with every other performance so far this season. Mermaid puts on a banger song and a banger performance. Absolute W, and man, D4DJ isn't missing with this in All Mix at all. They don't miss. After the performance, Sayori just starts to laugh and laugh and laugh, and this began to worry Rika. Perhaps she was wondering, oh god, did Sayori crack under pressure? She was kind of laughing, kind of like a maniac, but not at the same time. But she does collect herself and says, no, this was absolute fun. I had a blast. This made Rika happy, and she ends up tackle hugging her, and this was just overall wholesomeness, and I was thrilled to see a mermaid episode, especially seeing some development out of Sayori. And if I had to pick a character that I feel like I can relate to a lot, the first character that comes to mind is Sayori. I feel like I can relate to her a lot, and you know, she speaks to me. You know, I just relate to her. There's, in terms of putting pressure on herself, being hard on herself, being intimidated by one's skills. I can be hard on myself sometimes. I admit, I can be, you know. It's a bad habit I have. Like, sometimes I do put pressure on myself because I want to do well and I want to thrive and, you know, I want to hit that grind like she was trying to in this episode. So anyway, what's next? We're getting Maho English, baby! She teases that she will be speaking a lot of English in the next episode, and in which, of course, her Japanese VA is also her English VA, so I'm really excited to see that. I really am. I'm really looking forward to that. Seriously, I love that they actually had an American character speak actual English while talking to someone from Japan, and seeing how they were both able to figure out how to communicate even if English wasn't really needed. And you know what? For Sayori, English managed to work out in the end. Perhaps Yui Hirasawa and Ritsu Tainaka could use some advice from her. You know what I'm saying? Overall, a great episode, and I loved it. And this might have become my #1 episode so far in this season. Absolutely loved it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I will let you know the review for episode 6 may be a little late. I will be spending a week down in Florida. I'm going to go watch cars go really fast. It's called the Daytona 500. So I will be down there for the week. And yeah, so the next video may be a little late. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.